The Joy Revolution. Why Black Joy is the Ultimate Act of Resistance. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I recently had the extraordinary privilege of interviewing Houmbo the comedian, a visionary who is completely transforming how we think about connection, community, and authenticity in professional spaces. Let me tell you something about Houmbo. This isn't just any comedian, this is someone who's challenging the entire narrative around Black identity in America. Through humor, joy, and unapologetic authenticity, Humbo is creating ripples of transformation across industries, showing us all that sometimes the lightest touch creates the deepest impact. When Humbo speaks, boardrooms listen. When Humbo laughs, communities heal. This is someone who understands that our joy is not just personal, it's political, it's powerful, and is profoundly necessary. We've been sold a dangerous illusion, y'all, an illusion so pervasive, so embedded in our cultural consciousness that we rarely stop to question it. The illusion is this: to connect deeply with others, especially as Black professionals and entrepreneurs, we must lead with our wounds. We must display our scars. We must perform our trauma. This belief has become almost dogmatic. Share your struggle, reveal your pain, expose your hardships. Only then will people relate to you. Only then will they trust you. Only then will they follow you. But what if this fundamental assumption is wrong? What if authentic connection doesn't require trauma as its foundation? What if joy, humor, and lightness can create bonds just as deep, just as meaningful, just as transformative? This is the counterintuitive truth that Humble the comedian has discovered, lived, and now teaches. You don't need to excavate your pain to build your platform. Now, I want to be crystal clear. I'm not suggesting that our struggles aren't real or that sharing them isn't valuable. The Black experience in America and globally has been marked by systemic challenges that cannot and should not be erased. Our resilience in the face of these challenges is part of our collective strength. But there's a profound difference between acknowledging our history and feeling obligated to center our individual traumas as the price of admission to connection, community, or commercial success. The expectation that Black professionals must commodify their pain to be relatable is, at its core, another form of emotional labor we're expected to perform. It's exhausting, it's limiting, and according to Humbo, it's unnecessary. Let's consider what happens when we challenge this assumption, when we dare to lead with our light instead of our wounds. Rachel Cargill understood this when she founded the Loveland Foundation. While the foundation provides critical therapy support for Black women and girls, its approach isn't rooted in constantly revisiting trauma. Instead, it focuses on healing, joy, and self care as pathways to wellness. The foundation faced significant challenges, particularly around addressing the stigma of mental health in Black communities and dismantling the misconception that healing must be centered on pain. Their solution? Offering therapy scholarships alongside community building events that celebrate joy, laughter, and self care. The results speak volumes. Over 10,000 hours of therapy funded, with participants reporting not just improved mental health, but stronger community connections. By creating spaces where Black women could experience joy together, the Loveland Foundation demonstrated that healing doesn't always have to hurt. Sometimes healing feels like laughter. This approach has earned national recognition, built partnerships with therapists nationwide, and created a growing network of empowered Black women. Most importantly, it's redefining what healing looks like for Black women, showing that joy and community aren't just nice additions to wellness, they're essential components. Consider another example: the Black Girl Magic Comedy Festival, founded by comedian Joanna Briley. In an industry where Black women have historically been underrepresented, Briley didn't create a platform centered on discussing the trauma of exclusion. Instead, she built a celebration of humor, talent, and connection. The festival faced clear challenges: lack of representation and limited opportunities for Black women in mainstream comedy. Rather than focusing on these barriers, Briley created a solution that centered joy, a platform for Black women comedians to showcase their talent, build networks, and inspire audiences through laughter. The outcomes have been remarkable: sold out shows, increased visibility for performers, and a supportive community of artists and fans. Briley, a stand up comic herself, recognized firsthand the need for space that honor Black women's comedic voices. The festival has now run successfully multiple times, garnered significant media coverage, and launched alumni onto national stages. What's most striking about this example is how it demonstrates that humor can be a powerful connector and catalyst for professional growth. These comedians aren't succeeding despite focusing on humor rather than hardship. They're thriving because of it. And then there's Blavity Inc., founded by Morgan DeBaun. In a media landscape that often focuses on negative or traumatic Black narratives, DeBaun created a company by and for Black millennials that prioritizes uplifting, humorous, and authentic stories reflecting the fullness of Black life. The challenge was clear: mainstream media's relentless focus on Black trauma and struggle. The solution was revolutionary in its simplicity: prioritize joy, center Black excellence, celebrate Black culture in all its dimensions. The results: millions of monthly readers, successful events like Afrotech, and a thriving online community. DeBon launched Blavity after noticing a lack of platforms that celebrated Black millennials' multifaceted experiences. The company has since raised millions in funding, built a diverse media empire, and inspired a generation of Black creatives and entrepreneurs. Blavity's impact extends beyond its business success. It has fundamentally changed the narrative around Black media, proving that joy and humor are just as newsworthy and just as profitable as adversity. These examples reveal three powerful insights that Houmbo the comedian has been championing. First, you don't need trauma to connect. Your story is valid, whether it's rooted in struggle or in joy. Humor, authenticity, and positive energy are just as powerful in building connections and community, perhaps even more so, because they invite people into relationship rather than asking them to bear witness to pain. Second, your unique voice is your superpower, bringing your whole self, quirks, jokes, and all into your business or professional life is what sets you apart in any industry. Authenticity isn't about performing vulnerability through trauma narratives, it's about showing up as you truly are in all your complexity. And third, community thrives on positivity. Uplifting others through humor and joy can create just as deep, if not deeper, bonds than focusing solely on adversity. When we lead with light, we create spaces where others feel safe to do the same. This perspective represents a profound shift in how we think about authenticity, especially for Black professionals. For too long, we've been told that our value lies in our struggle, that our marketability depends on our willingness to expose our wounds. This narrative has become so dominant that we rarely question it. But what happens when we do question it? What happens when we refuse to make our trauma the centerpiece of our professional identity? We find freedom. We discover that we can connect deeply without depleting ourselves emotionally. We learn that our joy is just as powerful, just as magnetic, just as authentic as our pain. This isn't about denying the reality of struggle or suggesting that difficult experiences shouldn't be shared. It's about expanding our understanding of what connection requires. It's about recognizing that we have options, that leading with light is not just possible, but potentially more sustainable and more fulfilling. As Humbo would say, with that Glorilla Mama energy, listen, baby, we gonna laugh, we gonna shine, and we gonna win without having to drag our trauma out for the world to see. You are enough just as you are. This perspective is particularly relevant for high achieving Black women between 38, 55 who have spent years in survival mode. Women who have led teams, raised families, held down households, carried communities, and who are now exhausted. Women who are ready to shift from constantly grinding to finally grounding in joy, peace, softness, and self prioritization. For these women, the message that they don't need to center their trauma to connect meaningfully with others isn't just liberating, it's revolutionary. It gives them permission to put down the cape, to embrace softness not as weakness, but as a radical act of self love, to say no without guilt, and to reclaim their authentic identity. The most powerful affirmation in this context might be: my joy is not frivolous, it is revolutionary. My laughter is not a distraction from my depth, it is evidence of it. So here's my challenge to you today: I want you to see your joy as an act of resistance. In a world that expects Black pain to be on display, choosing happiness is a radical act. In space that want to commodify our trauma, leading with laughter is revolutionary. Starting tomorrow, I dare you to enter every room leading with your light instead of your wounds. I challenge you to share a story of triumph without first explaining all you overcame. I dare you to post content celebrating your joy without justifying why you deserve it. This isn't about ignoring injustice or pretending struggles don't exist. This is about refusing to let those struggles define the entirety of who you are. This is about understanding that in a world that has historically tried to crush Black joy, experiencing and expressing that joy fully is itself an act of defiance. Your laughter matters, your happiness matters. Your joy is not just personal fulfillment, it's political resistance. So laugh loudly, love deeply, create boldly, lead with your light, because your joy is not just your birthright, it's your legacy. And in a world obsessed with Black trauma, your unrestrained happiness might just be the most revolutionary act of all. Thank you.